Are the Habs going to win the Stanley Cup?
No.
I sure hope not. Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, ProLine. With the new ProLine app, you can make every pitch more interesting all baseball season long. Download it today. I'm Lindsay Dunn alongside Dan Riccio and Cabbie. Happy Friday to everyone,
Yes.
Especially those in the chat. Except for Dan, who likes the Habs in the chat. I'm obviously kidding. Make sure to like and subscribe to Off the Roster. Yeah,
let's make that clear. And also Cabbie, who's very much on Habs or
Goal
Canada's team.
Caulfield. I know. I can't wait to hear his thoughts on the game. I'm so pumped for this. But big news.
Canada's team. Look at Cab's eyebrows.
Yeah.
He's ready for it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was some elite eyebrow movement. One more time. That was actually great. Hi, Cabbie.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling after the only hurricane that came through Raleigh was delivered by the Montreal bleeping Canadiens?
Bad.
Gross. Kind of want to vomit.
Bad? Gross? What?
Yeah.
It was so exciting. It was amazing. First period.
I will say I feel vindicated after all of Hurricanes fans on Instagram ripped me to shreds for saying, like, hold your horses. They're not going to walk to the Cup final. They're not going to walk over Buffalo and Montreal the way they did the first two rounds. And I just want to say, I was right. You know, the whole time I was right.
Yeah, well done. It's amazing. Or like 3 road games, like a game 7 on the road, game 7 on the road, game 1 on the road. These guys are battle tested and awesome. Like I don't think anybody could have predicted 4-1 after like 10 minutes, or even the first 2 goals in the first minute. It was electric right from the jump. But anyway, I'm only rooting for Montreal because it is the final Canadian team in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I want to see Lord Stanley come back to Canada because I have national pride. In our national sport.
It can come back with it can come back with Mitch Marner. It still can come back to Canada.
And Nathan McKinnon, Cole,
I wish you would have saw Zack's face. I wish you would have saw Zack's face, Cabbie, when I said that. He was not impressed with me.
Hey, it very well could come back with Mitchie.
Well, what is national pride? Cabbie, can you just define what do you mean like national pride? When you look at the rosters of like 99% of the Stanley Cup winning team since 1993, it's greater than 50% made up of Canadians on these teams. That's enough. That's good enough for me.
That's not enough. No. Did you feel good when the Dallas Stars won in 99? How did it feel when the New Jersey Devils won in 2003?
I was 5 years old.
Let me find. Okay. When the Anaheim Ducks beat the Ottawa Senators in 2007, were you like, Getzlav, Corey Perry, they're Canadians, like, yay. Or when,
that's cool. Like, Stanley Cup champions.
When the St. Louis Blues beat the, were you waving the Ryan O'Reilly and Jordan Binnington flags?
Well, my former teammate Robert Thomas was on the team. So I was like, it's all good. It's all good.
Fine.
Yeah.
Listen.
Come on, Cabbie. It's all good.
Listen,
it's all good.
The Montreal Canadiens sweater is the most iconic in hockey. And when it comes to national pride, I think it's self-explanatory. Like, this is the final Canadian team, and the last one to win the Stanley Cup was Patrick Roy and the Montreal Canadiens in '93.
You can have national pride, but I'll say
gold medals.
You can have national pride. But I also have pride in myself and a little bit of my credibility. As a Leafs fan my entire life, I can't go and like the Habs. It is against my religion, my hockey religion. So I would lose pride in myself, and I should be canceled not only as a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but a Canadian, to just jump ship so quickly. But can we shout out Zack's cut right now, everyone? Zack, put your face back on, because everyone right now, wherever you're listening, if you're not on YouTube, please go subscribe, because this fresh haircut on Zack, we need 26 more followers to get to 10,000 subscribers, and he's going to get a tattoo of whatever we choose when we get 10,000 subscribers. My vote, Cabbie, is Pinyango and those lips, and we can get it on Zack's neck. Or Marner's face.
Cabbie, I know I just battled with you a little bit, but can you stick up for me and help me out here?
Let's get to 10,000 subs.
Do you have
it could
any
be a
tats,
temporary
Zack?
tattoo.
Like any tats?
I do. I mean,
Oh, okay. You got to sleep.
My
okay.
arm is.
So in the chat, make sure to tell your friends to subscribe and what tattoo Zack should get, because besides those lips, I'm thinking maybe a little tiny face of Marner.
I just want to shout out Zach's ode to Yarmer Yager with this haircut. It's very nice. You just need a little Yager salute to get it to make it feel fully.
I think don't both the Kachuk brothers rock a similar haircut? I feel like I've seen both Matthew and Brady have that.
I don't know about Brady, but Matthew for sure. Yeah,
Brady no, but Matthew for sure. Yeah, it's got some.
Yeah, Brady's kind of thinning up here.
Or Ernie Clement haircut.
That's from living in Ottawa.
Dog's hair. Oh, living in Ottawa. Let's actually talk about the Blue Jays and Earn Dog. They split the series. The Blue Jays are back. Huge game by the bullpen. Yeah, they split the series. So you had Braydon Fisher start, then you had Macko, you had Spencer Miles, Jeff Hoffman getting his first save in over a month. And as Mel pointed out in the chat, his 600th career strikeout.
Nice for Jeff Hoffman.
Yeah, it's like, Dan, say something nice about Hoffman.
Okay, there's no way I was the only one being like, what the bleep, John? We're going to Hoffman here? Like, is Rogers not available today? And you know what? Jeff Hoffman shut me up. He pitched he pitched a great ninth inning. So
he did shut you
bro,
up.
Yeah,
and there was no heart attacks happening in the ninth either. Like it was.
No, he was.
Base paths were clean. He was solid.
Struck out Jazz Chisholm, who had the golden sombrero in that game with 4 strikeouts. The guy just swung at everything outside of the zone. Poor fella. I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, the pitches come at you like eye level, like, oh, and then all of a sudden the break is disgusting. And then he struck out Paul Goldschmidt chasing. Earns his fourth save, 2-0. I was impressed with Jeff Hoffman, but the bullpen, like the entire pitching staff as a whole, was lights out. And that was the best part of our game was Spencer Miles, Adam Macko, Jeff Hoffman, and Braydon Fisher. Just salute to you fellas. That was a quality win.
The bulk barn, Spencer Miles. He go 4 1/3. He was unreal. The way that Spencer Miles has just burst onto the scene. He is easily the best Rule 5 pick in baseball through the first almost 2 months of the season now, and he's been a godsend. I mean, you send Eric Lauer out the door. He's now an LA Dodger, and Spencer Miles is making everybody forget about Eric Lauer. His pitching, not just yesterday, but the entirety of this season has been super impressive, and it's not, a ton of luck. Even if you look at his underlying metrics, they also suggest he's been really, really good. And the Yankees had zero answer for Spencer Miles yesterday. So it gives you not only confidence that they came back and tied this series, but also confidence for the rotation moving forward that they've got some arms developing in the pen while other guys get healthy.
A couple of additional notes, Dan. Braydon Fisher, at bottom second, he strikes out Paul Goldschmidt with a curveball at the bottom of the zone. 4 strikeouts and 5 batters. Elite start to the game. And then salute to our Canadian, Adam Macko, who earns his third career appearance, earns his first major league win. Just quickly in the second inning, strikes out Spencer Jones with a nasty curveball, gives up a double to Ryan McMahon, and then retires Anthony Volpe. And then in the third inning, he struck out Ben Rice and then immediately started jogging off the field. There were only 2 outs, but it was like that was part of it was a fun moment because
I know what the plan is. Yes,
yeah, that was the plan. Goes right to the dugout, and then I think Shaw's like, "Hold on, I gotta like do this properly or whatever." But it was like that was cool. It's like a charming
go
moment.
Procedure here, man.
Yeah, it was as though like multiple times before the game, like, hey, bro, just remember, this is the plan. You are not going to face Aaron Judge. You're going to go up to Aaron Judge, and then that's it, bro. That's it. We don't want that lefty on righty action. And it was cool to see for Adam Macko. But Fisher, Macko, obviously Spencer Miles, as you mentioned, Dan, his complete line, 4 1/3, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, one walk, and 6 Ks. Bro was awesome. It was just a great pitching performance by the Toronto Blue Jays staff.
The one thing I will wonder about with Spencer Miles now is, like, how far does this go? Does he continue to be the swingman in the bullpen? Kind of what Eric Lauer was last year, where you're going to start some games, then when everybody's healthy, you're going to go back and be the long man in the bullpen. Is that the role he is destined for this year, or do they try to see this out and be like, can you start? games.
Fifth starter, maybe?
Maybe he can be the fifth starter while they wait for Bieber and Scherzer to get healthy. Even with the way Scherzer pitched, there's no guarantee that Scherzer's going to have a long leash when he returns. If he doesn't start finding more outs than he did before.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Did you see the Aaron Judge stat when it comes to him facing the Toronto Blue Jays? In the last 7 regular season meetings, the Jays have held Aaron Judge to 0 extra base hits.
They own Aaron Judge.
Yeah. We're going to take that.
He was also 1 for 15 in this series.
Yes.
And he hasn't homered or delivered an RBI since May 10th. So I'm sure in the same way that we give it to Vladdy Guerrero or the Toronto media is giving it to Vladdy Guerrero, New York media is probably hammering this guy. Like, where's this guy? And certainly after this series against the AL East rival Toronto Blue Jays, I love to see it. But it was kind of remarkable that he was so ineffective against Toronto. 1 for 15 in this series. Dan, I have a question about.
I will say, Cab, before you move on there, it's like I can just imagine somebody on WFAN calling in today and being like, if we face the Blue Jays in the ALDS again, you can forget about it. Look at these Aaron Judge stats. This guy's got nothing on the Blue Jays. So that would very much be happening on WFAN today.
Was that caller from Queens or from the Bronx, Dan?
From The Sopranos. I don't know.
Okay, so from Jersey. Caller from Jersey. Mad Dog or Russo are just lighting up Aaron Judge right now and just have throat pains because they're screaming at such a high decibel level. But my question to you, Dan, is about small ball.
Oh.
Small ball. What
How do we feel about it, Dan?
Did the Blue Jays play small ball yesterday, or they just scratch away 2 runs and get the bullpen and the rest of the pitching staff to keep the Yankees scoreless in order to win that game? I mean,
is that not the definition of small ball? Like a double down,
because
Varsho doubles down the line, Vladdy scores, and then where do we get our second run from?
I don't even remember. Home run. Yes. Small ball.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Well,
how about the 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position they were last night? Or I know Ernie Clement had 3 doubles. One of them was a total Fugazi double. I don't know what the scorer was looking at in the 4th inning. That's a Ryan McMahon error every single day of the week. Yeah. But shout out to Ern because he lives rent free in the heads of Yankees fans right now. It wasn't small ball yesterday. They won the game on the back of their pitching. They didn't hit well enough. That's to me that's the way that I look at the game. They won like a great goalie putting up 45 saves last night. That's what the Blue Jays did with their arms in games 3 and 4 of this series to get the split. There wasn't small ball. If they were playing small ball, they would have found a way to plate some more runs because they had enough traffic on the bases. They didn't find the way to get them around. That was the problem.
There was a couple times where there were 2 runners on. I think Springer had Varsho in the 5th had 2 runners on, Springer and Guerrero Jr., and he struck out with high heat. And I think in the 6th,
they were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. The Yankees were 0 for 4. They had
this is a broader question.
8-0.
Well, I mean, the opposite of small ball. It's 4 home runs, a grand slam. It's Varsho hitting a grand slam in the 10th. Is the opposite of small ball. So I guess as it relates to Tampa Bay, have you seen the kind of run that the Rays are on right now in division rivals in the AL East?
Yes.
These mother bleepers have won 21 of 25, dude. Tampa has fewer home runs than the Toronto Blue Jays, and we malign Vladdy and the rest of the squad for not hitting home runs except for Kazuma Okamoto. And one other thing, doubles. We talk about extra base hits a lot. Tampa Bay has 67 doubles. Not the only measure for extra base hits, but just one of them. And Toronto has 76. So this team, listen, you said, why would we want to win like Tampa? We should be winning like Tampa.
Mirrors, man. It's just it's not smoke and mirrors. There's a reason, there's a method to their madness, but it's not the way that you want to build a sustainable baseball team, right? That's ultimately what this comes down to. The Rays do what they do because they have to do it.
All the time. It doesn't. What you're saying doesn't really make sense with the result.
Yes, they are defying the odds right now with how incredible their record is, but their record is built on the back of how good their pitching staff is from top to bottom. And they've got a couple of big bats like a Junior Caminero that help them get enough runs across the plate to make things work. My point is, if the Blue Jays are going to be successful, they can't just be the Tampa Bay Rays. You don't want to build an offense to be like the Tampa Bay Rays offense. You want it to be built better. And when the Blue Jays were at their best last year, Cabbie, they were top 5 in pretty much every single offensive metric. They hit the ball well, they don't strike out a ton, and they also had a ton of slug throughout their lineup. And that's why they had so much success through the back half of the 2025 season. Not because they played small ball. If you're playing small ball, like, it's because you're in a playoff game and you need to find a way to scratch away one run to give yourself that late inning advantage. You don't want to have to do that through the course of a 162 game season.
Dan, is the 2026 Blue Jays roster the 2025 Blue Jays roster?
Absolutely not.
Well, there you go,
but
bro.
they're still a top 5 payroll in baseball. You're not supposed to be playing that way.
And we're built top down with great pitching. We just saw an example and dealing with a ton of injuries, obviously, but we got some studs, bro. Cease, Gausman, and Trey Savage. Like, that's one of the best starting rotations in baseball. So we have, and we're showing it with this quality win last night in the Bronx, that we got a pretty formidable pitching staff. So, like, top to bottom, it looks pretty good right now.
And they need more slug in their lineup. They need more power. It's the biggest thing that's missing from this Blue Jays team. It's power.
George hit a home run. Hooray. His 4th of the season.
He did.
We like to see that. We do like
against
to see
the
that.
Yankees.
We'd like it to see from Vladdy as well anytime soon. He was at least on base yesterday.
Maybe he'll light up Paul Skenes tomorrow, who is going to be pitching in Toronto for the first time, starting. So that's on Saturday.
Pitched against the Jays once, but not in
Toronto.
But
not here, not in Toronto, So that's obviously, a lot of people are excited to see that. I'm curious for both of you, where does he rank in terms of MLB players on your list of, like, must-see athletes?
Is Paul Skenes a must-see? From a baseball, the baseball fan of me is yes. The Blue Jays fan of me, this is where it comes, like, when you want to see a pitcher come into your barn, into Rogers Center and be like,
please don't flirt with a no-hitter.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm here to see Paul Skenes so he can throw a no-hitter against the Jays or strike out 13 guys. I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that as a Jays fan, but the baseball fan in me loved going to see Clayton Kershaw. I remember going down to Seattle to see Shohei Ohtani in his first year with the LA Angels, and he was incredible, lights out, electric. And there is something fascinating about seeing a pitcher, a peak pitcher in his prime, do his job. It is art, and that's what Paul Skenes can do. I don't know. I don't know if I hope to see it against the Blue Jays, considering where their record is right now on May 22nd.
I'm with you, Dan. I do not, and Lindsay, I do not want to see Paul Skenes throw a no-hitter or flirt with a no-hitter at Scotland. But I'm with you. When in my youth, we took road trips to see pitchers. I remember driving to Boston to see Barry Zito with the Oakland A's pitch because his curveball was disgusting. It was like 12-6, and he was a Cy Young Award winner. I remember going to San Francisco to see Tim Lincecum and his unique windup throw be electric. And I think it was like the third year of their 3 World Series run. I think it ended in 14. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know how many people want to go to Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful ballpark, but like, what's there really to do in Pittsburgh in the summertime? But I think to answer your question, Lindsay, he's probably a top 10. I mean, a top 10 baseball player. I mean, it starts with Shohei Ohtani, and then there's like the rest of Vladdy. Put Vladdy at the 2.
Judge, even though
watch Vladdy take a walk. Is that what we're doing? Oh
my goodness, bro! I mean, listen, he's
you know what, that slide he made into second base was electric last night. You know.
Hey,
we don't have any Vladdy home runs to give you highlights for, so here's him.
I'll take the Superman slide right
here's him Supermaning into second base. Aaron Judge is probably high on that list. Mike Trout, there was a time that same day I went to go see Shohei Ohtani. Mike Trout had himself a day at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. There are a select few. And I would say, I don't know if Paul Skenes is on the list of like sports athletes. Like Wemby probably leads the list of like, this is a guy I need to see live at least once in my life. But I think there's an aura about him. I don't know if it's the relationship with Lindsay Dunn or what it is about Paul Skenes that has allowed him to transcend baseball in a way that others have not. But there's definitely more of a spotlight on Paul Skenes for whatever reason, even in a small market relative to Major League Baseball, than there is on some of the other elite pitchers around the game.
Lindsay, who are you taking a road? Did you ever take a road trip to see a pitcher, or who would you take a road trip to see?
Yeah, they're the longest
2026?
road trips ever because I'm originally from Saskatchewan, so we would go see like Minnesota Twins. But I remember going to Minnesota to watch the Lakers when it was Kobe and Nash and all of that. 'Cause, like, it was just cool. Like, that's not that long ago, but I remember just thinking this is the craziest moment to be able to see these elite athletes. But Shohei Ohtani is the one. Like, and I know that's such a. Everyone's going to have that unicorn, but being able to see Wemby in person for the last couple of years has been absolutely fascinating. And it's one of those things, I'm like, even if you don't like basketball, just watching his natural athleticism, but also just how he manhandles everybody else like they're his little puppets is just a sight to be seen.
And his sheer height. You know,
oh my gosh. There's a picture of him where he's just so much taller than me and everybody else because he was standing behind me on the court when I was doing a live hit. And it's like I was basically like at his hips.
I mean, even just watching the games, he's like a whole head taller than everybody else. It's like, man, these are the tallest people on planet Earth. And you're still a head taller than them.
Do you remember seeing the video where Wemby met Connor Bedard? Like the two number one overall picks, and they were like Wemby was in Chicago, and you're like, wow, these guys are both humans, but one is like 1.5 foot taller than the other, or maybe I don't know, 20 inches taller than the other. It was remarkable, and they have so much admiration for each other, but just the height discrepancy, just like this is crazy.
So I want to play a game right now called "Don't Read Into It," but let's read into this.
Okay.
So former Canucks GM Mike
Gillis.
Sorry.
Mike Gillis. Former Canucks GM Mike Gillis,
take over for a second.
who was also a candidate for the recent opening that the Maple Leafs had an interview spot on one of our company shows, Skenes and Price, out in Vancouver. And essentially, he talked about the whole process of being interviewed by the Leafs and why he ended up not being the successful candidate. And one of his quotes was, "It's not that I wouldn't do it, but I don't really think that a really well-constructed organization that guys my age should be on the front lines on a daily basis. That's my opinion."
That's a wild take. Also, sorry about that hairball. I'm back. But yeah, guys my age should be on the front lines on a daily basis. When you hear that from him and that like a lot of the reports were inaccurate, what do you take away from that? 'Cause like it was a bit of a spicy interview.
It was really interesting. And if listeners are interested, they should go and check out the full interview for more context. But I said it here on the show that everything I had heard and everything I know about Mike Gillis is he wants to be a president of a hockey club and he wants to have a certain level of autonomy in decision-making and how he's going to set up the organization for success. And listening to him with Skenes and Price essentially told me that he didn't feel aligned with how MLSE sees this moving forward, whether that's the organization, ownership, Keith Pelly being too meddlesome or being too hands-on for his liking, or that he wouldn't have been a president. They didn't end up hiring a president, as we know. So there's definitely some things to read into there, even though we're not reading into it as the segment, as we mentioned off the top of this. But it's if you're a Leafs cynic, what you're reading into this is that, oh yeah, Keith Pelly and MLSE want their hands on, and they didn't feel like they could have that with somebody like Mike Gillis, and that's why he never maybe was as close to the job as some were reporting when this whole process was playing out.
Totally makes sense. And he's 67. And the only president in the Rogers sports empire is Mark Shapiro, who's been the president of the Blue Jays for, I don't know, what, 10, 11 seasons.
Just over 10 years, yeah. He came in end of 2015.
That's right. So if his aspirations would be the president, like, this is obviously not the environment, not the corporate structure for that. So it makes sense that he wasn't chosen. And also if Keith Pelly's out there saying, hey, we want someone who is an analytics forward thinker, and maybe that to me says someone who is younger, a 67-year-old executive in Vancouver who hasn't really, I don't know what his highlights, I don't know him that well, Dan, so maybe he does have a Stanley Cup in his past.
He was a forward thinker when he led the Canucks to that President's Trophy in 2011 and, one game away from winning the Stanley Cup.
You know what's kind of funny? Sorry, Dan, to interrupt. I know there's a lot more to it than just this, but one of the things that he's so praised for in all of it, which I think is hilarious, is that
doctors.
Yeah, this guy was like, you know what? If we sleep better, we might be better hockey players. It's like, yeah, no shit. If you're rested, you're gonna be better. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like one of the big things that he had from his tenure there. Not to take anything away from it, but
they would have before, like, Whoop bracelets and Apple watches and all these things. They would have their guys wear. Yeah, they would have their guys wear bracelets that track their sleep and stuff. And then when the boys would go out for a night on the town, they'd all give their bracelets to Mason Raymond.
Yep. Great story.
Really?
That's
because he was like a Boy Scout.
Oh, he was straight. Yeah, he was
straight edge.
He was straight edge.
Yeah.
He was getting to bed on time. He was not staying out past curfew and being a good boy.
Do you think the Carolina Hurricanes stayed out past curfew, or they were over-rested for the game yesterday where they lost 6-2 to the Habs in game 1? Now, yes, they scored in the first 31 seconds, which was amazing. I was so excited. I'm like, let's go. They're going to sweep the Habs. But bam, the Habs respond within like 30 seconds and then respond again. And within 9 minutes into the first period, the Habs are up 4-1. And for a moment, I'm like, oh, the Canes are playing Leaf-style defense. As in there was none. Yeah, that game, if you are a Canes fan, which we know in the comments, there's a lot that watch and pay attention to this, you're not happy at all with that. But if you're a Habs fan, it was a great game.
Habs were incredible
great
last
night. They shut a lot of people up. Not me, but close.
Everybody who was thinking the Canes were going to just walk into the Stanley Cup final, this was going to be another breeze for them. Montreal outshot and outplayed in Game 7 against Buffalo and still found a way through. Outplayed in Game 7 against the Tampa Bay Lightning and found a way to get through. Yeah, well, none of that matters in the playoffs. It matters what you're doing to get the result. And last night, the Habs were incredible. Was it rust that they took advantage of with the Carolina Hurricanes? Possibly. Maybe Freddie Andersen could make a save for how much praise he's gotten in the first 2 rounds. Not that there was easy saves to be made on the goals that the Habs scored, but ultimately, you got to make the tough saves too sometimes if you're the goalie, and that's where Freddie Andersen let his team down last night. But the Habs were fantastic, and the third period was probably the thing that impressed me the most, because they get that Robinson goal and you're wondering, is it squeaky bum time again? Because the Habs gave up the lead in Game 7. They gave up the lead against Buffalo in Game 6. Are they getting to their prevent defense a little bit too early? And then they basically shut down the Carolina Hurricanes for the entirety of the third period. It was a brilliant performance from the Habs last night, Cab.
You're right. And this note from the Associated Press, I'll just quickly read this. Much of Carolina's success comes from pressuring opponents in the offensive zone and minimizing chances going the other way. But Montreal effectively moved the puck out of danger against Carolina's aggressive pressure early, setting up clean breakouts, open ice space, and multiple breakaway chances at Frederik Andersen. And Jake Evans said after the game, the execution was there right off the bat. In the first period, I think it was said that Montreal had 8 grade A chances, which is like, you maybe get 8 grade A chances the whole game. But these mother bleepers had it in the first period. And a note that David Amber had in the first intermission, he said that, and this has now been updated, in Carolina's last 18 conference finals games, the Hurricanes have lost 17. These mother bleepers are 1-17 in the Eastern Conference Final. And the blame can't only go on Freddie Andersen's shoulders, although a lot of it will. But that move, go Caulfield, like right in front. You get a 51 goal scorer no one around him
No
with
one there
time.
at
Just
all.
like you're getting absolutely cooked. And what was it? The Slavkovsky goal? Who had the like the deke around Svechnikov? Yeah, and then going
He
was
smelled
forward.
blood.
Like,
He's like, ooh, forward, last man back. Well,
Yeah.
here's time for a toe drag.
yeah, and they showed the goal that he scored against Freddie. It was the same kind of deke, but like you just go in your bag, and that's in Slavkovsky's bag. It was just an impressive win by Carolina. One other thing that I noticed, one other stat was I think they had this in the second period. Goals allowed by the Carolina Hurricanes in the first two rounds, 5 against the Senators, and Ottawa did not lead at any point during that series. 5 against the Flyers, 6. Montreal comes in and puts up 6 in the first game. So this is, I don't think, on anybody's radar. Nobody could have predicted that Montreal will walk in here and slap around, the best team in the Eastern Conference. But there we are. That's why we play the games, man. It was impressive.
I'm curious how much fans paid for a ticket to this. Sorry. And then how much like parking was and all that, because there was a mass exodus from the arena yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, Cabbie or Dan or anybody in the chat right now. There was about just over 5 minutes left, and it was just like it pretty much looked like the entire arena was leaving unless you were a Habs fan. It was like those tickets, like minimum $200 if I'm being nice about it, and then say your parking could be anywhere between $25 to $50. You buy one beer for $945, but everyone just got up and was leaving. Like, there's 5 minutes left. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mass exodus. Canes fans, Caniacs, as they like to call themselves,
Terrible.
so we're not very happy with the way that the game played out. But it's
Here's the video.
it's
funny.
funny.
You're down 5-2.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still
the
have
jam is done. I mean, get on the freeway, whatever freeway it is,
so
that gets
many
you to your
people.
place in Durham
Carolina.
or
They
Chapel
need to leave
Hill,
early.
We're
Charlotte.
also like, we know how this story goes. We can't score 3 goals and come back while we're just dumping and chasing all the time. So getting in on the forecheck. But it was, there was
Wild.
coach interviews in game are never
Oh, I hate
there's
them.
never really much that you get from them. But Martin St. Louis and Rod Brindamore actually gave some pretty good insight into what was happening. And Brindamore during the first period told Jackie Redmond on TNT, like, and you could see his reactions. Like, he can't really. He's not a good poker player, Rod Brindamore, I would imagine, because he doesn't really hold his emotions all that well. He's like, I don't know what the heck we're watching right now. I've never seen this before from my guys. And it's just, they were all over the place. Defending was optional for the Canes last night. And, you could tell that Rod Brindamore was not pleased. And, game 1 is just one game. Habs need 3 more to win this series, as we know. Okay, thanks, Captain Obvious. But it's... Canes are going to come back stronger, and they're going to play a much more structured defensive game moving forward. This series is going to be a struggle.
Be like OKC. They didn't lose a game until they lost to the
Game 1 of
Spurs in game
Spurs.
1. So I hope that they have a performance like SGA. Yes, bringing it back to Canada and hoops.
Yes.
Where they absolutely dominate them in game 2.
I'm sorry. One final thing on Montreal, which I didn't really appreciate until Jake Allen made this point in one of the intermissions. He used to play for Montreal, and he mentioned, like, Martin St. Louis, like, part of his structure is guys getting organized, and as long as that takes, get organized behind behind their goal, and then start the play, start the breakout. And in that third period goal, where there's like you mentioned basketball, Lindsay. It was like a perfect. It was like San Antonio basketball in the 2015s. Like, the ball movement, the puck movement was unbelievable. So this is the goal. They set up behind the net. There's a great stretch pass to Cole Caulfield, hands it off to Uri. It was like a dribble handoff to Slavkovsky. Then he goes in on the 4-2 to score that 4-2 goal. And there was another moment where the passing, just on a quick play, the reads were beautiful. The passing was just like bang, bang, bang. It was really impressive. And I hadn't noticed, because I don't watch a ton of Montreal Canadiens games, but once Jake Allen was like, oh, yeah, watch for this, or this is an interesting thing that Martin St. Louis has applied to his structure. Now I'm like, oh yeah, they do take a little bit of extra time to get set and then have their breakout. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was It was
no.
My brain took it to like, oh, I've seen this in basketball, and like, oh, and now I see it kind of in hockey. And it was the sports aren't analogous, but in that regard, as far as like passing goes, I could see how there was synergy between the sports.
Oh, absolutely. No. That's a great point. Don't be sorry about that. This is all our show. You say whatever you like. We're going to listen. We're going to have the chat bring into this because I want to bring the chat into this question I have for both of you because you just said, Cabbie, like you don't watch a lot of Habs hockey. This is the most I've ever watched in my life, and I'm a miserable SOB, and I'm usually like a pretty happy person. Clearly, we all know, don't like them, but I know there's a lot of Leafs fans who hate the Vegas Golden Knights. We know why, because Mitch. Would it be a nightmare scenario for Leafs fans if it ends up being Montreal and Vegas in the final?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
So, Zach, what do you think?
That's it.
Yes,
Zach?
that is the Leafs fans' ultimate nightmare.
This is the Leaf fan ultimate nightmare is Habs versus Golden Knights. Who wins a cup? The team you hate most in this world, the Montreal Canadiens, or the player Leafs fans hate most in this world right now, Mitch Marner? There's no winning.
There's an additional wrinkle because Mitchie was on that team that experienced a 3-1 collapse in the bubble. Yeah. That first or second round of the bubble.
It was pretty big
series,
reason behind it. Yeah,
it was 3-1.
I vividly remember a puck over the glass. Actually,
I was there in person.
Well, that's not. I mean, okay, fine. That's part of the spicier, juicy narrative. Part of Mitchie's redemption would be imagine beating that team. It'd be quite magical. As a run.
Imagine he just like played well for the team he was on for 9 years.
Yeah, that would have been.
Imagine that. That would have been a pretty good
top
redemption.
five.
He's not a top 5 player. He's top 5
5
paid player in the league. He's not a top 5 player in the league.
Top 5.
Well, maybe the redemption and a top 5 draft prospect clearly will be coming to the Toronto Maple Leafs unless they trade their first pick. Yes. I don't know, but we'll bring in Shane Malloy, the host of Hockey Prospect Radio and director of scouting analysis at Pro Hockey Group. Good morning to you today,
Good morning.
sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Shane.
Good morning. Nice to see you all again. Last time I had talked to Cabbie, we were at the draft. We were talking about I did the rankings for EA Sports for the NHL video game.
Yes.
And Cabbie had asked me about what rating I would give him. And I said I'd give him a 99 in style.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I was wearing a bow tie that day. We had like a little
That's correct.
We had a lounge, like this white lounge. I think it was and Morgan got drafted that year, number 4.
Right.
I think so it was 13, I think.
5.
I guess
Yeah.
13, 12 or 13.
Yeah,
Great memory by you. Thanks, Shane.
99
Pretty good.
Style. I'm loving that. Now, Shane, I need you to break down something for me. I want to play a video for you, and I need you to tell me who they're talking about because you are the person that will know. This is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they let us into their room when they're talking about who they're potentially going to draft.
High-end skill, high-end creativity, high vision. He has things you can't teach. This guy's a one-man breakout.
His teammates couldn't keep up.
I like that from a highly skilled player. If we don't know the player now, we're going to get to know them very, very well once they get under our tent.
Break it down for me. Who are they talking about?
Gavin McKenna.
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah, no,
nailed it.
Yeah, no, that was pretty obvious in that respect, and so they gave us a little tease. That doesn't mean I fully suspect they're going to draft Gavin McKenna as first overall. When you're looking at players in a draft class or individual prospects, there's a ceiling and there's the floor, and you have to be able to balance between those two aspects. And when we hear about teams swinging for the fences, that's when they're looking at players who have a really high ceiling but have a really low floor. This isn't the case, obviously, with Gavin McKenna. He has potential to put up 100 points a year. He's going to be an offensive dynamo in that respect. He's going to, I think the entire power play eventually will run through him, and he'll be the type of player that is going to be dynamic and take you out of your seat. Remember, and he isn't exactly the same player, but remember when Pavel Bure hit the scene, and he just took you out of your seat.
Yes.
Give Gavin a few more years. Like, it's going to be a bit of a transition to get into the NHL. He's a smart enough player to handle that. There's a lot of off puck things he has to learn and just improve upon. but offensively, he's a guy who will pull you out of your seat. So I fully suspect from the business side and the hockey ops side that they're going to get together, and it's going to be Gavin McKenna.
So the knocks I keep hearing are, not enough physicality in Gavin's game, too much perimeter play. How real are those concerns about his game, or are we just nitpicking on a player that's a super elite talent?
None of those are my concern. Understand the style of player he is and what he's going to be able to do for you. Am I worried about him going in the corners and banging and crashing and being gritty? No. Physicality for me from his playing style is, can you play inside of the dots and make plays? And can you bump off and roll off checks? And I know you probably don't want to hear this, but there is an element of Mitch Marner in his game in terms of his playmaking ability and being dynamic, except Mitch is much stronger off the puck. So you're not asking McKenna to be this type of defensive player. He just needs to be average defensively in the NHL. Just average. That's fine. The rest of his offense will make up for it. You're almost never going to find a complete player. They're really, really rare. Finally, when we talk about a complete player, that is a generational player, like a Celebrini, or in the past it would be a guy like Sidney Crosby. That's a generational player. But McKenna could certainly be a franchise type player.
Now, I mean, obviously the debate has been a lot of so far, McKenna versus Stenberg, and Stenberg is playing pretty well at the World Championships. He played well this season in the SHL, so he's already playing in a pro league. But this idea that his game can translate better to the playoffs, like, can we truly project that from where he is currently as a player to the NHL?
Yes, it translates to the playoffs only because of his off-puck play so advanced for his age, and that he already has the habits to inform the behaviors of when things get uncomfortable. When his A game isn't going, you have to rely on his B game. And I know on my show people are probably sick and tired of listening to myself or Jason Buchla talk about B game, but it's really important is look at it from this perspective. On average, 95% of the time, you don't have the puck in your stick. So whether your team has the puck or not, what are you doing off puck to help your team win? And that's where a guy like Stenberg is going to be more advanced. Think of him, I'm not using this as a player comparable, but a playing style comparable of more of a Marian Hossa. Stenberg is willing to sacrifice points for the betterment of the team, and he'll play a more well-rounded defensive game. And he'll be able to put in probably some more different situations that McKenna can. But McKenna has the offensive projection that I don't think Stenberg necessarily has. Even though Stenberg will probably be a point-a-game player, I think McKenna is the guy who could probably end up getting you 100 points a year. And it's just pick your poison. The extra 20 points versus a more reliable off-puck game. It's really, in the end of the day, it's about trade-offs. And and the type of player that McKenna is really hard to find. It's really difficult.
Shane, you've spoken in the past about best player available versus positional scarcity. So after Toronto let Mitch Marner go chase a Stanley Cup in Vegas, the Leafs have a glaring long-term void on the wing, but they also structurally need blue liners. So how would you address the best player available versus positional scarcity if you were in that room with John Chayka and the front office making draft day decisions?
Well, it's a challenge with Toronto because they just don't have much in the cupboard. They have Cowan, Hildeby, and Danford, and that's really all they have. So in their case, best player available, I don't always like that term, but in their case, they just need to accumulate as much talent as possible in that. And you can't swing for the fences because they can't afford any misses. They can't afford donuts and not getting anything else other than McKenna in the draft. So I would be looking for more high floor players. And in terms of defensemen, look at it from this perspective. In the salary cap era, 06 to 2018, on average, there's only 16 defensemen that are drafted in a year that'll play more than 200 games. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. It's really, really small. So in terms of scarcity and supply and demand, defensemen should be at the top of your list. So in my system that I built, it's weighted where defensemen if everything is being relatively equal, they're inside the same tier group, defensemen will always bump up ahead. And because of that scarcity and demand. Think about the price you pay for number 1, number 2, or number 3 defenseman in the marketplace, whether it be free agency and trades. It's a boatload, right? You're really digging into your other asset buckets to pay for that. So if you have the opportunity to do it, get it early and get it often. Honestly, I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I know there's discussion they don't want to trade a guy like Matthews and they don't want to trade a player like Nylander. I honestly don't think they have a choice. I think the longer they prolong that, the worse it's going to be for them. The salary cap is going up, so there's no longer the demand. The supply is massive, so there's no demand. So that's not an asset that you can allocate or use to your advantage. They don't have any. They have very few prospects, so the prospect bucket there is almost empty, and they don't have a lot of draft picks, so that bucket is empty. So you're asking Matthews and Nylander to wait approximately 3 to 4 years before they get themselves back on track. Could be as many as 5, because you're asking these young players who are, 19, 20, 21, 22. They don't really start to hit their prime until 23, 24, and then to 28, 29 are those really heavy prime years. So by that time, Matthews is in his early mid 30s, and so is Nylander. And at that point, so are they going to want to stick around for that? The longer that you don't trade them away, the less value you're going to retain. Because once teams begin to realize there's normative and coercive pressures on you, they're going to exploit you for that. So I would take advantage in the summer. I wouldn't even try to convince Matthews to stay because you're getting McKenna. I'd say this is what we need to do. This is what we have in our cupboard. This is what we have in terms of draft picks. And we don't have the other assets to make up for it. And of course, and on top of that, free agency is very, very slim. So the only tradable massive assets you have are Nylander and Matthews. And I would, after that, once you trade those two, then I would look at trading Riley and Ekman-Larsson and Carlo. But I wouldn't trade those, and along with Stolarz, but I wouldn't trade any of those until you know what the return is for Matthews and Nylander. I'm not sure the Toronto Maple Leafs have a choice at this point. They painted themselves into a pretty tough corner.
Shane, you might be the first guest ever on Off the Roster to advocate for completely burning it down to the studs. Like that is
well, you don't have to burn it to the studs. You don't have to burn it to the studs.
Matthews and Nylander, aren't you effectively burning it to the studs?
It depends on the return of investment. So take a look at the Hughes trade. They got a player, 2 top prospects that were just jumping into the NHL, and a first-round pick. I think you can get that for Matthews. If you look at the teams out in the West that have enough assets to do that, would be San Jose, Anaheim, Chicago, Seattle, Utah, or Detroit. They have enough to do that, to make that trade. Then Nylander, you could get one less asset out of that. So you could get a young player, a top prospect, and a first. So it's those young players and that top prospects that are ready to hit the NHL soon that make up for that. And then you have a push below. You always want to have that constant push from below. So those extra 2 first-round picks are what's coming behind that young player and those top prospects ready to move up. So there's enough and then you have to surround them with good veterans just to hold the fort and make sure that they don't get their heads caved in on the road. Because that's the difficult aspect for young players, is learning to play on the road when you don't have matchups. So it's not a complete burn it to the ground, because there should be enough asset return. You don't want to go all draft picks and all prospects. You got to filter in some young players. Like Vancouver got Zeev Buium, who can play this year. You get into players like, and Ogrim started to make that jump into the NHL and showed some promise. So you can do something along those lines. And the 6 teams that I talked to are the 6 teams that I would target if I'm looking at trading Matthews and Nylander.
Interesting. Very interesting. Not quite burning it down, but you mentioned, prospects, the upcoming draft. Is there a potential draft pick you think is not getting enough attention for their skills? Because obviously there's 2 names we all keep talking about, but who else do you think should be getting more attention?
It's a centerman out of Sweden called Alexander Command. He's one of those players that when I went back at the World Juniors, I was watching tape of, when Lane was on one wing and then Puljujarvi was in the other. Who was in the middle of that line? It was Sebastian Aho. And then again, when you see the World Juniors at that peer group, you see Stenberg and you have Bork. Well, who was in the middle? Command. And they play a very stylistically, very sane game, relentless off the puck, really intelligent playmaking, manage the puck well, have enough offensive upside to be certainly a second-line center in the NHL. Maybe more, but I wouldn't push them any beyond that. I think he's a player that is going to be drafted much higher than many people think because he's such a reliable player. I know that sounds boring, but in the NHL, if you can get an elite level second line center, you jump on those because they end up being the linchpin of your organization.
Yeah, it's a position the Leafs need. They need a lot of positions right now. They need help on defense, center, pretty much everywhere, as you mentioned. Now, John Chayka, obviously, we've kind of moved on a little bit from the surprise of him getting this position. When he was with the Arizona Coyotes, we know he had the issue with draft prospects, and it ended up costing the Coyotes some draft picks. But what did you make of his track record and his process in Arizona, and what can we read into that now that he's taken over the Leafs job?
Well, I think overall was below average, and so, but don't read into that. This is what's going to be replicated in Toronto because you have different personnel. I think one of the misconceptions that ends up happening when a new GM comes in is they're going to come in and wave their magic wand and everything's going to be different. Well, a great CEO or a great COO of a Fortune 500 company is what Toronto is. You have to surround yourself with the best people, your AGMs and your directors of either player personnel, directors of amateur scouting, pro scouting, player development. Now, he has some people in place that are excellent. Dave Morrison does not get enough credit for what he has done in that organization, and I think Mark Leach is an excellent director of amateur scouting as well. He came from Detroit, then to Dallas, and then to Toronto. If they lean on those two gentlemen, they should be fine. This is a stat that may blow you guys away. From 2006 to 2015, the first 10 years of the salary cap era, the Toronto Maple Leafs were the fourth most efficient team at drafting and developing in the NHL to get players to play 200 games or more. They were the fourth best. The director of amateur scouting out of that time was Dave Morrison. And he's still in the organization, so lean on Dave. So you've lost John Lilly. He's moved on to New York, but you have a guy like Mark Leach. So lean on those guys heavily because their track record is excellent. Perhaps the reason they didn't, succeed is that's more of an asset management standpoint, which has nothing to do with player development or with the directors of amateur scouting.
Shane, one question for you beyond the first round from the Toronto Maple Leafs perspective. Who are the players that could be available late in the second round as Toronto and players that Toronto should consider with either the 49th pick or the 61st pick? There's a lot of conversation about Gavin McKenna. Obviously, he's a generational talent, but just beyond the first round, who are a handful of players that Toronto should keep their eye on for that mid to late second round?
Well, I would look at guys that if you're a forward, do you produce 5-on-5, particularly on the road? That's a translatable stat, particularly for forwards that are not going to play on the first and second unit power play. Maybe they sneak into that second, but most likely they may not. So 5-on-5 production really matters. You can look at junior hockey stats and say, oh, this kid put up 90 points, but then 50% of his points come on the power play. Well, he's not going to get a sniff of power play in the NHL. Most likely. So you really want to look at that. So it's forwards that I would look at. If I look at my list, let me pull this up while I'm speaking to you. I would be looking at guys like Chase Harrington out of Spokane, Brooks Rogowski. There's another, potential player that could play on a third line. Defenseman be Ethan McKenzie, Charlie Morrison. Defensemen that could end up playing a role, kill penalties, move the puck efficiently, a third pairing defense. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but you can't afford to go into the marketplace and go buy third line players and fifth and sixth defensemen. The acquisition cost is way higher than a draft pick. So do yourself a favor and find reliable, high floor players that can play a specific role, who understand their identity. You don't have to convince them to play a certain way. They already do that. that makes it much more easier and translatable into the NHL. And again, I know it doesn't sound like, oh, well, why would we want to draft a third liner? Let's swing for the fences. You swing for the fence, you get a donut, you get stuck in a draft class when you only have one player. And the Leafs just simply can't do that.
They cannot.
No.
I'm hoping it is. Yeah, they need all the help. Can't wait to see what they do when the draft happens just over a month from now, I believe. What day are we at? It is, yes. Thank you, Shane. We appreciate your time today, and I'm going to have to go check out some of those players to see who they could potentially draft later in there. So thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for bringing
Great
the
to see
heat.
you again.
Thank you, man.
You
too, brother.
You still got 99 style.
Thank
Yes,
you,
he
sir.
does. Yes, he
Thank
does.
you, sir. Appreciate it, Shane.
Quick talk about the NBA. So Knicks now up 2 games, 2-0 over the Cavs. Josh Hart, phenomenal performance. He had a career high in the playoffs with 26 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds in that game. But
he pulled the Philip Deneau after as well.
Absolutely.
Had the pizza.
A little bit of za. He
had
brought
a
the
little
whole
pizza
box.
after the game.
He brought the whole pizza box to his
Phil
presser,
Deneau,
and I
did
love
he
it.
do that last night? Phil Deneau?
Yeah, we'll play a little bit of the video now. People are thinking this is like disrespectful. The fact
Come
that
on.
he had pizza when he went
I
and sat
love that.
down, or the fact that, it's showing that they are not nervous at all. Just like a quick little moment from the post game. This is what happened. It's in his hand.
Yeah.
So he
I don't know.
This guy's mid-chew. So for the audio audience, he's chewing at
Are you
the...
a crust guy?
and he's
and then
asking
he
Carl
asked
Anthony
Kat.
Towns.
Yeah.
Are you a crust guy?
So
you a
Cabbie,
crust
what
guy?
happened is originally he took the whole box of the pie to the post-game presser, and they're like, no, you have to leave the box over here. So he left it, had a piece of it. People are saying it shows how calm and cool the Knicks are. But the question I really want to ask both of you is, if you had the option, would you eat spaghetti courtside or near courtside at a basketball game? If you were listening and maybe you didn't watch the game yesterday, somebody was caught behind the commentators eating a little plate of spaghetti.
I am
with no meatballs. So maybe they already ate them. That's my only beef with it. There's not enough meatballs.
I'm losing faith in the human race. I don't know what is happening.
That's what sent you over the edge.
Have you guys not seen this trend where people try to bring like random foods into ballparks? They try to bring crazy foods into ballparks. There's a Twitter account about what you can and can't bring. People have been bringing bags of spaghetti. Give me a second here.
How do you bring a bag of spaghetti to
wasn't
any
there
sort of sporting event?
Seriously,
Well, you can bring any food you want to the Blue Jays game. I know that. Like, you can bring KFC. You can bring any outdoor food, just not beverages.
Who's walking into a Jays game with a bucket of chicken? Like, this is...
I would.
Here.
Finger looking good.
This is from the Sickos Committee on Twitter. The MLB spaghetti policy. Teams who will allow you to bring in a gallon Ziploc bag of spaghetti to a game. Want to add Phillies here, too. The policy was unclear online, but we found posts this morning showing they'd allow it, too. And then you can see... logos
gallon
for the teams.
is 4 liters. That is a massive amount of spaghetti. A
Share for the whole
gallon?
section.
It's crazy.
So imagine the tarps off
that's
section
half of the
eating
teams.
spaghetti and just
Oh
waving
my
the spaghetti
gosh.
around with all over their
that's-
face.
No,
I kinda here for
I
that.
don't need this visual.
I want that for you in
but
your
like-
life. Let's go.
Okay, how is your spaghetti holding up in a gallon bag, a gallon Ziploc bag?
Oh, that's nasty.
That's so nasty. And it's
Oh
cold.
my gosh,
And then it
and
just
like
gets
on a
all
hot summer
mushy.
day, too.
And oh my, no. Like cold spaghetti. Who's eating cold spaghetti? It's
I feel like that's offensive to you, and I love that.
Everything about this is offensive to me. Oh my God.
You know what's not offensive?
this guy no sauce.
This guy, no sauce.
sauce.
That's disgusting. That's
Yeah,
just
no
a
sauce. Yeah,
crime.
sorry. We're showing
Pasta burro is what
on this
that is right there.
this Twitter account, Sickos Committee. We're just showing some random fan photos of the meals that they're smuggling into baseball parks. I mean, listen, I get it. It's a tough economy out there, and if you got to spend $200 on a ticket, hey, try to save some money on the margins by bringing food into ballparks. But spaghetti in
Bring
a Ziploc bag is.
sandwich. Why are you bringing spaghetti?
There was a guy
grilled
sitting in
cheese
front
or
of
a
me
couple
at
grilled
a
cheeses.
Jays game the other day. He had a Chipotle bowl. Like, all right,
I kinda
that's
like
that's
that.
a choice.
I kinda like
That's
that.
not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would cost you $40 at Rogers Center versus
probably.
$13 at
fair.
Chipotle just over there on Front Street. But it's the caption in that photo that you posted in Lindsay. spaghetti at a ball game is or what was it? Spaghetti at a basketball game is diabolical. It absolutely is. And Mike Breen has no idea that behind him, a woman could potentially spill a plate of spaghetti onto his suit while he's broadcasting, while Jalen Brunson is continuing to carve up James Harden for 19 points and 14 assists, and the Cavs have no response for Josh Hart just raining threes. This is incredible. So now we're showing like a carousel of specifically spaghetti in bags at baseball parks. I didn't know this was a thing, but this is obviously a thing.
Vergogna, man. Have some standards, people. I can't believe this. Like spaghetti in a plastic bag at a ballpark. Like, just make yourself a sandwich.
You know
it's
what would
probably
help?
Easier to make yourself a sandwich.
Spaghetti, you can get a pack of spaghetti for like 50 cents at some places, $1. So you know
make
what would
yourself
help
a nice little panino.
is that you could help them.
What do you,
Oh my god,
Spaghetti.
a spaghetti jersey.
In Seattle.
Posted a video of the
Fantastic.
spaghetti bag.
Wow.
This goes way ahead of the trend. 2025.
He
Can't
definitely,
wait to be back at the
Like, are you
ballpark
just-
with a Ziploc bag of spaghetti.
he definitely lives in his mom's
grabbing a
basement.
plastic fork, shoving it into your gallon bag of spaghetti?
You know
Now-
what?
now
You do
it's-
you.
Now it's a flex to see like what is the most like offensive food item that you can bring into
Sardines.
Oh,
Yeah,
sardines
oh,
A
would be
bag of
great.
sardines.
Oof, that would
would
be
be-
that's literally offensive. But like you're pushing the limits. I once asked Jose Bautista like what, because baseball is like so casual. I was like, how far can you push the limits about eating in the dugout? Because I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Wade Boggs was, when he was with Boston, he would like eat fried chicken in between innings or go into the clubhouse, eat some chicken, come back, and then I don't know if he drank a beer between games, but Jose, I was like, well, can you do like chicken finger? Can you do chicken fingers in the dugout? He says chicken fingers might be a little bit far. I'm like, what about a wrap? He goes, yeah, you could do a wrap in the dugout, and those are for the guys playing. So for the fans in the stadium, I'm sure now that if this Twitter account gets more popular, it will incentivize other people to see how far they can push the limits and bring God knows what into ballparks.
Yeah, bring in durian fruit and nobody will sit near you. That's true.
That's true. But I'm hoping you guys can help people add some money to their wallets so they can buy really nice Ziploc bags to bring in their spaghetti. Because it's time now for
We were winning last night.
The 416 ProLine picks. The new ProLine app is here. Bet baseball online and in store. This isn't old ProLine. The new app makes betting baseball easier than ever. Enjoy more props and same game parlays all baseball season long on the new ProLine app.
Yes, we were successful with over 1.5 total bases for Vladdy Guerrero Jr. We maybe too much to ask for extra bases, but at least he was on base last night and got us the win. Tonight, I'm sticking with the Blue Jays, and they've got the Pirates starting a 3-gamer with Pittsburgh at Rogers Center this weekend. We are going with Kevin Gausman, one of the Blue Jays' 3 aces on the mound, and I've got Gausman for over 6.5 strikeouts tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Let's go, Dan Riccio. These picks are for entertainment purposes only. And today on a Friday, I'm keeping mine simple. It's Game 2 in the Western Conference Final. In his 2 career games against the Vegas Golden Knights, Nazem Kadri has 10 shots. Tonight, when he shoots, I believe he will score. So I'm going with a Nazem Kadri anytime goal for the Colorado Avalanche. 5 shots on goal in Game 1. Let's go, big fella. It's time for you guys to even the series and give us basically the Stanley Cup final in the Western Conference Final tonight at Ball Arena against Mitchie and the Vegas Golden Knights.
And just parlay that with like Mitch under 0.5 points.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise,
that would be
bro.
great.
I mean, you can take that chance. Light sprinkle if you want. If you got haterade coursing through your veins, light sprinkle on Mitchie under 0.5 points.
If I know one thing about Mitchie, the longer this series goes, the more invisible he will get. So,
bro, he's got 19 points in the playoffs. McKenna has 14. You guys didn't address this yesterday when we were having an impassioned debate about Mitch Marner
his
and
points
the
per
Vegas
game
Golden
is
Knights.
slightly higher than Nathan McKinnon's right now. Yes.
Okay, yeah, there we go. And he's assisted on like 4 or 5 of Brett Howden's shorthanded goals, which is so impressive.
And somehow he's
Objectively
not scared
impressive.
of his shadow in the same way that he was when he was a Toronto Maple Leaf in the playoffs. So
Yeah, a shadow named Paul.
Oh, on that note, have a great weekend.
guys are
We will talk
ridiculous.
about what is happening in the NHL and NBA playoffs, everything with the Jays on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Make sure to tell your friends to like and subscribe to Off the Roster on YouTube so we can get Zack any tattoo we want. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for joining us on the live stream. We have much more on the Off the Roster YouTube channel. Interviews, shorts, reels, post-game clips.